Hey folks, truly you're keeping your head about you and not getting too frustrated, upset, angry, pissed off, disappointed, yada yada. There's so many things we can be doing in the positive. We can be working with our children, getting them outside, getting them into the gardens, learning about biomagnetic healing, reading books. Books. Collect books, folks, because the internet's going to be shut down soon. I'm getting censored like you would not believe. Videos being taken out and off of my channel right and left every day now. And I mean, this has just been the past 2 to 3 days. All of these taken off my channel, just taken off. They just said community guidelines. We know this might be disappointing, but it's important that it make a safe place for all. If content breaks our rules, we remove it. What a bunch of horseshit. But you can see, I mean, this is just from the past couple days, and I'm sure other channels are getting the same kind of issues going on as well. And also, I saw that Celeste Bishop Salam is on Facebook, so apparently she is better now, and I've reached out to her to find out what's going on there. But, I mean, just look at all the censoring going on, folks. These are all the videos that they've just taken down from me, just in the past 2 to 3 days. Unbelievable. All right, so let's get to the New World Order agenda and plans. This is from 2008. Let's take our planet back, even though they got a Flat Earth logo on their theme. 2008 project and the UN's global goals for sustainable development and the happiness, well-being, and freedom of all life on Earth by 2050. Ain't going to happen today. It's going to be another 30 years before the happiness index comes up. HAPPYTILISM. Come up with these new words. UNNWO happiness. I mean, this is what the billions and billions to get this one world order set up are coming up with. A HAPPYTILISM since 2008. We're making impact across the globe. 10 billion happy by 2050. All these shining, happy people who are now under quarantine under a fake, bogus virus that didn't exist, just like no planes hit the buildings in 9/11. There's no virus, folks. There's none whatsoever. However, let's run up some massive debt. And when we run up this massive debt, who are we going to pin it on? The taxpayers. As we're already seeing California saying they're out of money and they have to borrow from the federal government. The feds. The USA Inc. Corporation. Federal Reserve is no more of a government entity than Federal Express. They're corporations. I can't get that through people's head when they talk about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, yada, yada. You guys, when they said we the people, it was the 55 rich land-owning white guys they talked about when they wrote the document. They just said, well, it pertains to you too, and it has nothing to do with you. It was a contract between the 55 rich white guys. That's why it's called a compact or a contract. The Declaration of Independence, useless. Why do they use enforcement to get their laws, Roman Latin laws, still today? Wake up, all. Stop talking about the Constitution and your rights. You have no rights until you claim them yourself. End of subject. Write your own rules. Write your own treaties. Write your own agreements. You can do it. Abolish government says right there. Why don't we abolish them? You decide. Let's do it. All right, so the Federal Reserve, after the 29 trillion bailout from 2007 to 2010, the exposure of that, now they've added on just massive amounts on top of that. And so this is from the Fed. You remember the Federal Reserve, Federal Express, same thing. They make profits. They make money. They print money at interest for the government. The more we borrow, the more money they make. So the total package comes to roughly $6 trillion, $2 trillion direct assistance, $4 trillion in Federal Reserve lending power. Again, it will be the largest Main Street financial package in the history of the United States. And who's this guy, Kudlow? He used to be on CNBC as a talking head. Now he's running the Treasury. Fed Chairman Powell made an unprecedented appearance on the Today Show. He said, quote, in certain circumstances like the present, we do have the ability to essentially use our emergency lending authorities, and the only limit on that will be how much backstop we get from the Treasury Department. We're required to get full security of our loans so that we don't lose money. That's the same thing they did in 1933 against the debt from World War I, where they created the birth certificate on the regulation number because they had to have collateral against all the money they'd loaned the government. So what are they using for collateral again? on these massive, massive tens of trillions of dollars, which never has been done before, they're going to want skin. They're going to want our babies. They're going to want livestock, chattel, against the claims of the debt. When the final text of the CARES Act, because we really care, stimulus bill was released, it allotted $454 billion to be handed over to the Fed from the U.S. Treasury. So the Fed's going to absorb the first $454 billion in losses, all right, which would include bailing out bad loans in the biggest Wall Street banks, the primary dealer trading houses, commercial paper, money market, corporate bonds, junk bonds, and exchange-traded funds. To underscore the secrecy of the part of the Fed might have invoked, Section 4009 of the CARES Act suspends the Freedom of Information Act for the Fed and allows it to conduct its meetings in secret until the president says the coronavirus national emergency is over. And our tax bills are going to go up. We're already seeing in, I think it was Ohio or Tennessee, where they said because of the tornadoes, they're going to have to raise the property taxes by some 25%. Already the people that are owning homes are being squeezed when some of them are making income from their rentals and the renters don't have to pay and can't get evicted. So there's no rental income coming on. They're coming after the homeowners now, folks. They're coming after the death pledge mortgage. They're going to jack up the rates, and we're going to see that happen next. But in the meantime, we see further marks of the beast. Congress just introduced a bill, H.R. 6666, gives $100 billion to schools, churches, and medical buildings. The only way they can receive the money is to agree by contract that they will only allow people into their facilities that have been vaccinated, tested, and tracked on congress.gov. You see where this is all going. So instead of freedoms, it's free doom unless we speak out and do something. Tech giant IBM is paired with Sonoma County for COVID-19 systems. Software serves as a platform for the local app dubbed SoCo COVID-19 Check. Return to work needs submitted for the app, new process. The app will be rolled out among other employers in the local government and the private sector as well once in-office work begins to resume. So now you're beginning to see how Gates' 7 billion vaccinated is going to happen. You don't get vaxxed. You're not on the communication device to check in. You're not practicing social distancing. You're not being monitored. No work for you. We've also seen where Ventura County has announced, the public health, quote, official has announced that they're going to be snatching and grabbing people from their homes. He came out and said, well, I didn't mean to say take you from your homes. I mean, we're going to do that, but we didn't want that announced. I made a mistake in that, but they're literally going to be coming to homes. Anybody that's been in contact with somebody that's allegedly tested positive for CV-19, a germ that cannot be passed, on testing that's 80% false positive, you're going to be quarantined, and we're going to take you away and quarantine you, or we're going to put tape on your house, yellow tape, and tell you you cannot leave the house for 2 weeks because that's how long it takes to quarantine to get better, according to them. Unbelievable. And they're putting huge burdens and additional costs, including less business, on a lot of local people, small farmers, small businesses and whatnot. They just don't want you to reopen. And here the farmers markets are starting to open again, but it's going to be barely recognizable from its former incarnation. This is not a typical pattern the market has seen over years. So public health precautions, social distancing, pathways for patrons to follow the lines, hand washing, sanitizing stations at entrances, special queuing lines set up with 6-foot demarcations, modified layouts to ensure 10 feet or more vendor booths to allow for greater circulation and distance, limited market entrances, control capacity foot traffic, no sampling of prepared food until further notice, no touching of the products. You can't even see if the farm product's any good. No music, no entertainment, no public sitting areas. No, no, no. Who gets to decide they're playing God with us? Who? Oh, the World Health Organization. That's who. Or Moloch from the Bohemian Grove, of the owl who only sees at night because they keep us in the dark. And then here's the rest, more rules. Rules made by the rulers, and that's how they use rulers to measure us on how obedient of slaves we're going to be. So these new rules here for employers. Now remember, they're going to bring up cost. The restaurants, they're not going to have near half, they're going to have half the number of people. Think about the schools. Let's say you had 30 in a classroom and now you have to put them 6 feet apart. Where are they going to put all the kids? They're going to have to separate them. They're going to have to keep them at distance. They're going to have to stagger school starts. It's going to be a nightmare for all. And the people that are trying to get their businesses back to have margins so they can make profits, forget about it. Listen to all these rules. Perform a detailed risk assessment and implement a site-specific plan, they're calling the SSP, before you can be allowed to reopen. They need to train employees on how to limit the spread, including to screen themselves for symptoms and stay at home if they have them. Implement individual control measures and screenings. Implement disinfecting protocols. Implement physical distancing. That's a new word. Protocols, implement physical distancing, guidance, best practices for reopening. Retailers should increase pickup and delivery service options, encourage physical social distancing during pickup, loading items directly in a customer's truck or leaving items at their door. Retailers should install hands-free devices if possible, including motion sensor lights, contactless payment systems. Here's your cryptocurrency, getting rid of cash, automatic soap and paper towel dispensers, and time card systems. Why do we have time card systems when you got the monitoring on the phones? Manufacturing companies should close break rooms. No more breaks for you. Use barriers or increase distance between tables and chairs. Separate workers. Discourage congregating during breaks where possible. Create outdoor breaks with shade covers and seating. Cost. And employees can't even talk to themselves during the breaks, each other. Warehouses should minimize transaction time between employees. Perform gate check-ins and paperwork digitally if feasible. Warehouse workers should clean delivery vehicles and equipment before and after delivery. Cost. Carry additional sanitation materials. Cost. And use personal protective equipment for each delivery stop. Cost. All over a fake freaking virus that does not even exist. It's all made up. Just like planes flying into the building on 9/11 was a TV show. And they sold it, which made all the airlines and all the new rules come about. It's all a big freaking lie. And they're getting all of us to be obedient. And if you watch my videos on what's happening to the children going back to school, you should be appalled. You should be outraged. We pay our property taxes to keep the schools funding. Let's reclaim the property taxes. Let's reclaim our school funding. Let's reclaim our counties and our administrators. Let's reclaim our pensions. Let's reclaim our right to protect the lands and to be left the frick alone. For those of you that are standing up now, I honor you. The John Graffs of the world, the Valerie Yeagers of the world, the Shelley Lewises of the world, you're stepping and speaking out. Now is the time to speak out. But don't go protest. That's not going to do anything. Step up and act. Educate. Share this with everybody. Show them what all the lies are. They are directing conflicts between the county, municipalities, between the state, and between the feds. And it's going to become this one world government in these regions, these FEMA regions we've talked about before. But first they have to bankrupt the world by funding all this massive debt. And then they put the onerous tax burdens on the quote, taxpayers who cannot survive. And then they take over their lands. And then they make ridiculous laws like your pets are transferring the COVID. Wait for this next one. The next one's going to be all livestock. They're getting rid of beef. They're showing how the chokehold's going on in the slaughtering houses, how they have to dump the milk, they have to dump the beef, and now things like Impossible Burger prices are going through the roof because people aren't going to be able to afford anything. Then you got the hopium going on because they got to give the people a little hope. You got to give them some hope because if you don't have them hope, you're not going to win them over. You have to give them a little hopium. So here's the sheriff of Riverside County saying, no, he's not going to arrest anybody for COVID-19 for not wearing a mask and everything. But look at their badge, folks. Look at the Riverside County badge. It's a Freemasonic symbol. And what's on the top of it? A double cross. Just like you see on ExxonMobil. Just like you see on all the police badges. What do you see? The Freemason designs, folks. So you're going to go to your local Freemason police officer and want satisfaction and want remuneration and want to have them enforce the laws that are made up by the Romans because we're still under Roman Latin law. And that's what you're going to do with your protests? I got a lot of grief for saying that you're just a bunch of hopiums getting out there thinking your protests are going to do something when I've clearly said and proven and no one responded that there's never been a successful protest in the history of mankind. You hold up your signs, you show up, honk your horns, nothing happens. Oh, it changes for a little while, and then it goes back. There has never been a successful environmental movement. The Trump dumpster just gutted the entire EPA. So how has all those environmental movements been so successful, folks? I'll wait. So stop thinking that they're doing something, so it's a sign. No, we got to get creative. How did they stop them in Iraq? Improved explosive devices. Being creative. That's how they did it, is getting creative. Doing things they're not expecting. Not announcing them and doing them. You know, peacefully doing it, yes. But standing up now for our children. Our children have no chance unless you stand up now, parents. None. And if you think this is about you, think again. If you're worried about your own salvation and being saved, think again. This is the world being locked down. This is a one world order being implemented where they're going to be injecting 606066 chips in you, which is going to be your cryptocurrency. We're going to have mandatory vaccines with hydrogel in them, which is going to take all your memory and your mind control away. You're going to be slaves by 2030. All of us are going to be slaves by 2030 unless each one of us decides to step up, to stand up. You cannot walk on a man when he's on his back, when he's standing up, as Martin Luther King said. But it's going to take each individual to take off your masks, show you're not afraid, show you're no fear. Go talk to these, quote, officials, these public health officials that can put fines on you, ordinances on you, tell you can't sit on park benches, keep your children from playing in the parks, keep them at home where they're going to get sicker, instead of being outside in the mud and the dirt and the vitamin D sun. Don't give in to the lies. This is a mass awakening going on. And by you stepping up, by you showing your courage, by you speaking out, you're empowering others to do so as well. Even though you never thought you'd be here in this world doing this or thinking this way. But you're a change, you're a cog in the wheel of change, and a big cog. This is the greatest event in thousands of years of history of mankind. And we were chosen, we came here to fight this great battle. Sir Richard Branson and Sir Bill Gates that serve the Queen, who serves the Vatican, who serves the Jesuits and the 13 satanic bloodlines. Oh, we're getting rid of meat. You're not, I've been a vegetarian. I know what that's about too, but where's our freedom of choice? Where's our abilities to support one another? Think of all the people that work in the ranching industry that are now out of jobs. Think of all the jobs that are never coming back for people. Incomes, no way to support themselves. How are they going to live? What are they going to do? While we're seeing massive reports of Alzheimer's and morbidity in children, neurological diseases, from the mass amount of geoengineering, from the mass amount of aluminum that's being uptaked into the soil when we grow our foods. The children are being affected the most from the wireless radiation of 5G and beyond. And you can stay silent, and you can not be accounted for in your not protest. Pro is for, test is testing. I'm not for testing. I'm for being the change. I'm the author of my authority, and no one is going to tell me differently if I don't agree with it. I don't care what your rules are by your rulers. I don't care what your government of mental mind control is. I don't care how many forces of power you have. You will never, ever own my soul. Which means you'll never, ever own me. But it's more than me. It's the soil under attack. It's Mother Earth under attack. It's Father Sky under attack. It's all the animals that have no voice for them under attack. They're getting killed off as well with all of this. So we need to speak about everyone. All sentient beings matter. All life matters. So please, all of you that are just thinking about yourselves and your own well-being, please open up your hearts to feel the pain of all the suffering. Before this all started, two-thirds of the world lived on $2 a day. And we in the United States is all complaining and whining about our rights being taken away. Are you kidding me? These people search to have water so they can drink every day. They search to have food so they can eat every day. And then they talk about the ridiculousness of 0.03% of people dying, and they're bringing in all these draconian laws. When 400,000 people die a day of starvation, and we can feed them if people get back to the gardens, when people get back to the gardens, and they're taking away the ability to save seeds. But they're allowing CBD and marijuana businesses to remain open. They're allowing dog grooming to remain open, but they won't allow haircuts. And I just read you the draconian laws they're planning for the future for any businesses or farmers markets going to reopen. And we're also seeing everywhere streets being closed off so they could exercise during lockdown because they really care about our physical fitness. So they're closing down streets. No, this is known as road diet in the past. And this is part of the Agenda 21 to get people out of their cars and into bicycles and walking lanes. So they're closing down streets. They're doing it in San Francisco as well. And now it's Thursday. The streets will remain closed even after the lockdown is lifted. And this is how they're using the county funds when we're so much in debt. Oh, but these guys aren't practicing social distancing and they don't have masks on. They don't have to do that, but they can shut down park benches. Look at the tape on the back of here, folks. Outrage. But do something with that rage. Use that rage in positiveness. Positiveness means taking action, thoughtful action. Using your thought, using your voice, using your feelings, but do something. Start now. Share this with everyone. Know that your rights are what you take and claim them to be, not what someone gives them. We don't live in a world of privileges. We live in a world of divine inspiration. Earth is divine. Look at all it does. She gives us life. Her water are the veins, like the veins in our body. Her lungs are the trees, like the lungs in our body. Father Sky is the air that we breathe, the toxic air now. They are under attack as well. So open up your hearts to healing Father Sky and Mother Earth as well. This is a time of the Great Awakening. And in the darkness comes the light. And we're the light bearers. We're not Luciferian, although Luciferian in ancient times was something of the good. But in these times, we are the light bearers. And once we shine light into the darkness, it's no longer darkness, it's your shadow. And when you lead, others will follow. So please get the lead out. Start leading. Speak your voice. Don't worry about the echo. If you get popular, people like you, you get arrested, whatever. There is prices to pay. These payments can be high. It can be paid with your life. But I know I'm not going anywhere. And I'll come back again and again and again and again and fight you even stronger. Because we're winning now. You're not seeing it yet, most of you, but this is winning. They've shown their hand. They've showed what they're about. Slaves no more. And the only way you become a non-slave is if you declare and act and be your own independent authority, author of your authority. Tag, you're it. Hope this helps. Share with all. Thank you.